Hello everybody and welcome to our second Make Do Kangaroo class where we're all together, but we're all together in our own homes. So I am here doing class in my home and you are doing class in your home, but we can still do it all together, can't we? Which is fantastic. So let's get started, will we? So the first thing we need to do is we'll need to do the kangaroo song. So let me get that on and we're going to stand up and we're going to jump about and we're going to get rid of all that excess energy that we've got so that we're ready to then do our class, okay? Right, here we go. Can you hear it? Is it loud enough? Right, everyone stand up. Are we ready? And we're all going to march around our rooms, ready to get marching. Well done. That's it. Keep going. And if you want to, you can start jumping. See how high you can jump. Look, ready? I'm going to take kangaroo. Here we go. Well done. That's it. Keep jumping. See if you can get mummy and daddy or granny or granddad or auntie and uncle, whoever's doing class with you, see if you can get them jumping too. Ready? Ready for the boings again?
Come on children, now it's your turn to jump up and down.
Well done. Keep going. Up and down, up and down.
Bouncing round the room. That's it. That's
Great job. Well done.
Now you're like a kangaroo.
Ready? More boings. Here we go. Boing, 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 boing.
I'm a kangaroo with a jolly
Is anyone getting tired? Oh, I'm quite tired. Right, nearly done. Keep bouncing. Ready? One last jump. Oh, well done everyone. Let's switch that off. Don't know about you, I'm exhausted. Right, so now we've got rid, let's get kangaroo back sitting there, rid of all that energy. We can come back to sit down. I don't know if you're maybe doing class on the floor or you're maybe sitting at a table, but we'll come down and we'll just relax and get ready to do our art. So are you excited to find out what we're going to do this week? So this week is all about getting organised. It's all about getting prepared because shortly there's going to be a very important day and it is called Burns Night. It's an important day, important night. And I don't know if any of you have heard about Burns Night or a very famous Scottish person called Rabbie Burns, who isn't alive anymore, but we still celebrate his life. And his birthday was on the 25th of January. So on the 25th of January, every year we celebrate his life, his birthday. And that is called Burns Day or Burns Night. So the 25th of January is coming up soon. Depending on when you're watching this video, might be in a few days' time, might be in a week's time, but it's a Monday. And what we would normally do on his birthday is we eat some very special Scottish food. And that is called haggis. Has anybody had haggis before? Maybe you have. You can let me know if you've had haggis. So let me show you what we're going to make, okay? So this is what we're making this week. Can we see? So this is my haggis here. Kind of looks a little bit like a haggis, but luckily if you aren't going to eat haggis for your tea, for your supper on Burns Night, your haggis doesn't have eyes. So you don't need to worry about that. You won't be eating a haggis with eyes, but we just put our eyes on our haggis just to make him a little bit funnier. And look, he's got a little tartan cap on as well, a little bonnet. Scottish word for a cap, for a hat. So that's our haggis. And then another thing that's very Scottish is tartan. So we're going to make a tartan plate to set our haggis on. And then also something else you have to eat with your haggis is something called neeps. Now, neeps is the Scottish word for turnip. So you can sometimes have mashed turnip with your haggis, and we call them neeps. And then also something else that you can have with your haggis are some tatties. Does anyone know what tatties are? So tatties is a Scottish word for potatoes. So then you would have, for your haggis tea, for burns, you have a little bit of haggis, some neeps and some tatties. So that is what we're going to make this week. So maybe you can have this sitting out as a little display for burns, or maybe you can give it to someone for their burns supper and maybe say, here's your tea, here's your haggis, neeps and tatties. Okay, so the very first thing that we are going to do is we're going to paint our tartan plate. So tartan, if anybody's seen it before, look, here is my little bit of tartan for my tartan bunnet, for my haggis. And you can see tartan is just lots of different lines that cross each other, yeah, with different colours. So in this one, it's mainly red, it's got a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow, and a little bit of like very dark blue. Kind of looks almost black. So what we just need to do is we need to make some lines that cross over each other on our plate. So we're going to paint our plate first, then we'll put it to one side to dry, we'll read our story, and then we'll come back and we'll make our haggis, and then we'll glue our neeps and our tatties onto our plate. And if you want to, you can glue your haggis on as well. Okay, so to do our plate, you'll need to get, look, your white paper plate out from your wallet. Yep, and then some paint. So I would normally not use any more than 3 colours of paint. You can get away with 2 colours, but I have chosen red, yellow and green. Completely up to you what colours you want to choose for your tartan. And what we need to do is we need to find something that we can create lines with. All right, so I have got a car because you can make lines with the wheels. Okay, so that could be one option. Another thing, I've got is a golf ball. So it doesn't have to be a golf ball, it could be a little rubber ball, anything at all. Just for you to roll across your plate to make lines. Another option is a ruler, because a ruler has a really long line on it, doesn't it? It's got a long edge. So you could almost stamp that into your paint and then make lines like that with your ruler. All right, so lots of different options. You could even just use a paintbrush and paint lines on. Completely up to you. Use whatever you've got in your home. I am going to use a car because it's a little bit more fun, isn't it, to use a car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my car in, what colour? The yellow paint first. Let's go for yellow. So you've got to try and make sure that you get the paint on all the wheels, and then we're going to wheel, there we go, our car all the way along our plate. See, like that. We get quite good with a car because you get 2 lines. And then I might do maybe another all the way along. So we're going to try and just move the car in one motion all the way along. Okay, we're going to try not go back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. Though, if your child is little, chances are that's what they're going to do, and that's totally fine. And then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to turn the plate round. So my lines are going that way, and I'm going to put my car going down the opposite way. And that's how you can start to create tartan. I can show you, can you see? There, lots and lots of squares and rectangles. You see them? So now I'm going to choose a different colour. So I'm going to go for red, I think, this time. Now I wonder if some of you, when you were doing your autumn trees last week, did some of you mix your yellow and your red to see what colour it would turn out to be? Did you try that? And I wonder what you found out. I wonder what colour you managed to create. Did you manage to create a brand new colour just from mixing your yellow and your red? And look, so that's all my red lines going down that way. Now I'm going to turn my plate and I'm going to do my lines going the other way. There we go, do you see? Right now, I think I'm going to do a final colour, which is the green. Let's see if I can get green on my car. There we go. And we'll do some. Now, like I say, up to you how many lines you do. It's your plate. This is your art time. You can decide how you want it to look. Okay? You maybe want to have lots of white left on your plate and just a little bit of colour. You may want to cover the whole plate in colour, and that's okay too. It's sometimes really difficult to know when to stop, isn't it? I have that issue as well. When is a good time to stop and say that is enough paint? What do you think? Do you think that looks like enough paint? Yeah, I think maybe it does too. So that is my tartan plate. I wonder what your tartan plate looks like. Can't wait to see them. When you're finished, you'll need to get mummy or daddy to send me a photograph, because I can't wait to see what yours looks like, because I bet you yours looks really different from mine, because everybody's art will be different, because it will be specifically for them, the way that they want it to look. So now we've done our tartan plates a little bit wet. We're going to put it to one side to dry, okay? And if you've got any wipes, you might need to help mummy, daddy, granny to tidy up. And I'm just going to wipe some paint off of my table, and I'm going to put my car and my plate to one side, because then after class is over, I'm going to give this car a lovely wash. It needs to go through the car wash, doesn't it? And get a lovely clean. So I'm going to put it in some soapy water and get a lovely wash when I'm done. All right, well done. That is your first activity finished. So we're at story time already. Can you believe it? So if you're able to quickly go and get some juice or a drink or some water or milk, and go and get a little snack, something to eat, and then come back, and then we'll be all ready for story time. All right, off you go. So the story this week is this one, called Hamish the Hairy Haggis. Did you know haggises are sometimes hairy? And look, there he is there. And he's got legs and feet and arms and eyes. And look, there's his tartan bonnet, his tartan hat on the top of his head. Look, he looks like a very funny man. So let's find out what happens to Hamish the Hairy Haggis. So on this first page, it says Scotland, which is where we live, don't we? We live in Scotland. This is the country we live in. And it says, what is a haggis? A question asked by many. What is a haggis? However, the question should be not what is a haggis, but who is a haggis? So I wonder who a haggis is. And look, there's Hamish. He's a haggis. So the story says it's Hogmanay, and everyone in Scotland is very happy. Everyone, that is, apart from Hamish the Hairy Haggis. Hamish lives on a steep hill in the Highlands of Scotland. There he is. Now, the start of a new year means a big noisy party for nearly all the Scots. For Hamish, Hogmanay is the start of many days of hiding in a deep dark hole. Hogmanay starts haggis bashing season. where people try and bash a haggis. Poor Hamish, I wouldn't want to get bashed. I'm sure Hamish doesn't want to get bashed. So, Hamish has been hiding in his hole for ages. He has long finished eating all of his thistle sandwiches. He has nearly finished the one and only book he has, which is called Harry Potter. And he is very bored, very hungry, and he wants to go outside. Do you think it's safe for him to leave his hole? Now, the hairy haggis bashers are usually very noisy. So look, there's Hamish at the hole of his cave where he's been hiding, and he's listening to see if he can hear anybody outside. It seems to be quiet. So maybe all the haggis bashers have gone home, he thought. He decides to leave the hole in search of more thistles to make more sandwiches. Big mistake. Oh no, look. As Hamish sticks his head through the hole, a great big hammer hits him very hard on the head. Oh no! Hamish is in big trouble now. Poor Hamish. Look, he's been caught by someone. Can you see someone's big foot? The haggis basher carries Hamish down the hill and heads for his hometown of Inverhaggis. Look, there's where all the people live, down there in all the little houses. Do you see? Yeah. Now, Hamish wakes up and he finds himself, look, locked in a cage. And beside him are some very smelly turnips called neeps and some very dirty old potatoes called tatties. Hamish is a bit groggy, but he climbs over to look through the bars of the cage, and what he sees in the vast room beyond him makes him tremble with fear. Oh no, this must be the ancient party that his grandfather Harry, who was an even hairier haggis, told him about. This is the Burns supper. In the big room, hairy haggis bashers and mashers are dancing together, and look, all the men are wearing their colourful tartan kilts. To his horror, Hamish even sees that one of the bashers is wearing his grandfather Harry tied around his waist. Can you see? Look, right there. Oh no, that's Hamish's grandfather Harry even tied round a man's waist. He does look funny, doesn't he? Oh no, Hamish doesn't want to be turned out like that, does he? Now, Hamish's grandfather was the great chieftain of the pudding race. Rabbie Burns, like that's kind of what he looked like a little bit. Yeah. It seems was really the big chief of all the hairy haggis bashers and mashers. Hamish knows he must escape from the cage, and he tries to think of a plan. Just then he hears a cry that say, "Bring in the haggis! Bring in the haggis!" Do you think they're going to come and get Hamish? Oh no, do you think they're all going to try and eat him? Hamish begins to shake even more. Oh no. Harry, Hamish's grandfather, had told Hamish that if he ever hears the words Rabbie Burns, he should run. The screeching music stops and the bashers and the mashers sit down at long tables, and the chief haggis basher stands up and starts to shout loudly in a language Hamish doesn't understand. After a very long time, the big chief raises his glass and everybody begins to chant, "Here's to Robbie Burns." Oh, look, there's something else very Scottish, like someone playing the bagpipes. Hamish sees someone pick up a funny looking instrument, and out of the instrument came a horrible high-pitched howling. The terrible noise made Hamish and the tatties and the neeps cover their ears. Hamish remembers something else his grandfather Harry told him. When you hear that horrible howling noise, you better leg it. I've got to leg it, thinks Hamish, and he kicks a neep with all of his strength, and the neep hurtles towards the bars of the cage and smashes a hole into the side, big enough for Hamish to jump through. Hamish runs for his life and he makes his escape. Look, he's managed to run out. And look, the little neep and the tatties are following him. Hamish runs through an open door and the bashers and the mashers chase after him. But the bashers and the mashers trip over all the neeps and tatties and they end up in a colourful heap on the floor. And look, Hamish can make his escape through the town. Hamish is nearly caught by one of the bashers, but luckily Harry, Hamish's grandfather, springs to life, wraps his legs around the basher's ankles and trips him up. Off! Poor man. But that's good news for Hamish, isn't it? He can run away further. Hamish heads for the hills. The bashers are close behind and they nearly catch him. Hairy Haggis have two very long back legs and two very short front legs, like their arms and their legs, which means they can run very fast up hills. As soon as Hamish sets foot on the hill, he knows he can outrun the bashers and he's safe. Hamish is nearly at the very top of the hill, while all the bashers are still at the bottom and they're very angry. Hamish, look what Hamish does when he's at the top of the hill. Can anyone see what he's doing? He's sticking his tongue out at all the bashers at the bottom, going, you can't catch me. He's a cheeky haggis, isn't he? A few hours later, the hairy haggis bashers and the mashers have given up trying to hunt down Hamish, and they have to try and make something else to eat for their Burns supper. Later they sit down and they try to pretend to their guests that this funny little gooey mess they've got in a plate is really a haggis. But look, nobody looks very sure, do they? Robbie Burns doesn't look very sure either. Hamish warms up some thistle soup. He's back in his lovely cosy cage. He is very happy knowing that he's safe from the hairy haggis bashers. That is until next year when it all starts all over again. Poor Hamish. So now you know the true story of Hamish the hairy haggis, and that a haggis isn't a thing. A haggis is a who. There you go. And that is Hamish the hairy haggis. I wonder if you'll be having haggis on Burns night. I'm going to try. I quite like haggis, neeps and tatties. I think I'm going to try and have haggis, neeps and tatties on Burns night for my tea. So we have made, look, our tartan plate. Mine is still a little bit wet. We've read our story. Have you finished all your snack? Any of you still eating? Are you all ready to do the next bit? So the next bit we've got to do is we've actually got to make our haggis. So you should have an old sock. Now it doesn't matter the colour of the sock, it can have patterns on it, it can be a plain sock, it can be white, it can be coloured, it doesn't matter because you're going to paint it. And what you need to do is you need to have something, hopefully you've got something to stuff inside it. So it can be bits of paper. Look, so I've got just little balls of brown paper here and I'm going to put it inside my sock. Now this is a bit that you might need some help with, okay? But maybe you just have an old bit of material, an old cloth, an old tea towel, I don't know, whatever you've got lying about that mummy doesn't need, you could then use to stuff inside. And what you want to try and do is you want to try and create a ball inside your sock, like that. It doesn't need to be a perfect shape because haggises aren't a perfect shape. They're all a bit kind of funny and bobbly. And you want to have two flappy bits at either side. Like it looks like he's got little ears there with like a squishy ball in the middle. Okay. So you're better doing this bit first before you paint it because then your hands don't get all painty and wet. Okay. So once you've done this bit, what we can do if you want to is you can probably tie the ends. So you should have two little strips of tartan, all right? And again, maybe you might need an adult to come and help you with this bit. I'm just going to tie, I'm just going to put mine into kind of a knot. Maybe yours will be long enough to tie into a bow, I don't know. But look, I'm just going to put a little tartan tie at one side and then I'm going to put a little tartan tie at the other side too. And that just keeps your haggis nice and safe in the middle. All right? And it means he can't escape out of your sock. Right, tie that one in there. See, it's quite tricky to tie it in knots and in bows. So that's why you might need an adult to help you. Even Lindsay's struggling with this one. There we go. Okay. So there is my haggis. Look, with these little tartan bows. Which way round he should go. So now we have to paint him. So I have some brown paint. Haggises are they're kind of a browny colour. And it's up to you what you want to use to paint your haggis with. If you've got a paintbrush, you can use a paintbrush. If you've got a sponge, a bit of sponge, you could use a bit of sponge. I might use a bit of sponge today. So all you need to do is dip your sponge into the paint and we're going to look dab, 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 like that. Now don't worry at all about covering every single bit of your haggis. Doesn't need to be completely brown. We just want to change the colour of it slightly, especially if you are using a coloured sock, because I'm using a blue sock and haggises aren't blue. So I don't want my haggis to be blue, but it doesn't need to be completely covered, just a little bit covered. There we go, I'm nearly done. A little bit more paint. There we go. How's yours looking? You managing to get some paint on your haggis? I might need that that's a little bit blue there. There, like that. So once you have got your haggis a little bit covered in some paint, then it's time, then try and glue on some eyes and kind of turn them into a person, a bit like Hamish. Yeah, so there we go, there's mine. Like, I'm never happy, I always have to do a little bit more. Like, I need to learn when to stop. Okay, so now we're going to give him some eyes. Right, this is where I've got to decide which way round he's going to go. Right, I'm going to go here. So in your pack, you should have some googly eyes. Mine are going to be funny because look, I've got a red one and a green one. Now these eyes are peel and stick eyes, so you should be able to peel the back off and stick them on. However, because you have put wet paint on your haggis, what you might find is that they fall off again. So if they fall off, you just get a little bit of glue and we'll just glue them back on again. Okay, so here's my haggis there. So there's one eye, and like here's the other eye. I'm just going to take the paper off, and then I might just give them a little bit of glue just to make sure that the eyes definitely stick on and they don't fall off. Yeah. Okay. Then we're going to give them a hat. So look, you'll have a little roundish tartan piece of material, and we're going to put a bit of glue on that. And it's up to you. Your hat kind of sits at the top of your head above your eyes, doesn't it? So it doesn't really matter where it goes. I wonder what side I'm going to put. I think I'm going to stick it on that side. So look, there's my haggis. And there he is, with his wee tartan hat. There you go. And then I don't know how wet your haggis is, but I've got like my little pack of pens here because I kind of thought maybe you'll want to put just a big smile or a mouth or something like that on him. So if you want to do that, you can maybe do that. Maybe yours is a bit wet just now. And mine's is maybe a little bit too wet as well to do a big mouth. Maybe I have to get a black pen. I've kind of drawn a little mouth. I don't know whether you'll be able to see that. Okay, but if you want to, you can get a pen and you can draw a little big smiley mouth underneath his eyes as well, okay? There we go, and there's your haggis. So now we need to put him onto our plate. So we'll go and we'll get our tartan plate back. And like I say, if you want your haggis to be a thing on its own, maybe you'll want to just play with it as an object on its own, then you don't need to stick it to the plate. You can just leave this to one side to dry. If, however, you want it to be stuck on and actually be haggis, neeps and tatties on a plate, then you can put a little bit of glue on your plate and stick your haggis on. I'm going to keep my haggis off just now, okay? So therefore then I'm going to put a little bit of glue. Can you see I'm going to pour some PVA glue there, and that is where I'm going to put my neeps. So you should have some yellow wool, and I'm going to scrunch up my yellow wool and I'm going to plop it on where I've put my glue on my plate, and that's going to be my neeps. Then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to, like, here we go, pour some glue on there for my tatties. And you should still have, if you haven't used all your cotton wool last week for your winter tree, if you've still got some cotton wool, you should still have some. And in that case, they're for your tatties, okay, for your plate. So then hopefully you've still got some and you can stick them onto that glue. And there's your tatties. And then, like I say, if you want to, you can then stick your haggis on top of that. I'm going to leave my haggis off, especially just while it dries, but you may not want to. You may want to stick it on your plate. And that is your plate of haggis, neeps and tatties. Now, doesn't that look tasty? Do you think you would like to eat that for your tea? Maybe you will eat that for your tea. You'll need to tell me that if on Burns night that you might decide, or your mummy or daddy might decide to make you haggis, neeps and tatties for your tea. And then you get to try it, and then you can let me know whether you like it or not. You can see. All right, and that's us finished our second class. When you've finished doing this class, show what you've made to your adult and ask them to take a photograph of it and send it to me, okay, so I can see all your wonderful work, because I can imagine you're doing an amazing job at home doing Make Do Kangaroo, and I really miss seeing all your faces. So it would be lovely if I could see a lovely photograph of what you've been doing at home. All right, so once we've finished, what do we normally do? We normally do a tidy up song, because there might be a little bit of clearing up that you've got to do on your table. Let me get the tidy up song on. There we go. Can you hear the music now? All right, so that means we need to tidy up. So I've got some things that I need to put in the bin. I've got my wipes that I need to put in the bin. I've got things that I need to take to the sink to be washed. I'm going to put my haggis nicks and tatties to one side to dry. You've maybe got glue that you need to put away.
Time to close your book, close your book, close your book. Time
what about the paint? Do we need to get the paint away?
Time to look around, look around, look around. Time to look around, does the room look clean?
What do you think? Have you looked around? Does the room look clean? I think my table looks pretty clean. I'm quite pleased.
Make the room look nice and neat. Thank you very much.
Well done if you've been helping to tidy up. I think we're done. What about you?
Put your things away. Keep your room neat.
Now, use this time, if you've still got some time and you're finished tidying up, go and find your bubbles. Because if you've got a lovely tidy work surface, you definitely deserve some bubbles, okay? So go and find your bottle of your bubble mixture and we can get ready to blow some bubbles, okay? Ready?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Time to tidy up.
Great job, everyone. Well done. Right, are we ready for our bubbles? Here we go. How good are you at blowing your bubbles? I've been watching you all. You're all fantastic. Look, did you see how big that bubble was? See, can we blow some more? Really big blow. Well done. So many big bubbles. Pop some at the same time. Pop, 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 pop. Catch that one. Are you managing to blow your bubbles? Or are you popping your bubbles? Are your adults blowing your bubbles? Maybe mommy or daddy's blowing bubbles. Ready, last one. Well done. Good job, everyone. Look, still, can you see that on the table? I've still got some bubbles that haven't popped. Like they're still there. I wonder if I can we'll do pop, 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 pop. Fantastic. I wonder if you've got any bubbles on your table you can pop. Well done. Give yourselves a really big clap. That was a fantastic job you did today. I'm so proud of you. Well done. Now, if you haven't used all your stickers, you should still have, like, here we go. You've maybe used one last week, so you've still got 2 stickers left, okay? So you can take another one for this week, and then that means we've got 1 sticker left for next week's class, okay? For the next one that we do. So feel free to go and ask your mummy or your daddy if you can have your sticker, because I'm sure you deserve it because you've done a great job. All right. So thank you very much for joining me again this week. Can't wait to see your pictures of your haggis, neeps and tatties. Let me know how you celebrate Burns Night. Let me know if you actually eat some haggis. I would love to know that. Maybe, I shouldn't really say this, but you might get a little treat for a little bit of iron brew. Iron brew is a Scottish drink but it's a fizzy, sugary drink, so you have to make sure you clean your teeth really well that night as well. But we sometimes have just a little tiny taste of iron brew with your haggis, neeps and tatties on Burns night. All right, and I'll see you next week for the final class of these 3 weeks blocks, and we're going to be doing dragons next week. All right, so I shall see you all for that class. All right, take care. Missing you lots and lots and lots. Bye.